Hey, this is a new show, eh, Tony?
We're live. It's happening, man. Who would have thought?
Yes, we've been talking about this for months, and we finally
hmm
decided to do a project together that is, well, we took us all of about 30 seconds to come up with a name for FM
Yep.
Focus.
I like the name. I like the name. It took us 30 seconds for the name. It took us nearly an hour to set the actual technical aspects up to record it, but the name was easy. The rest of it's going to be the difficult bit, right?
Yeah, that will be the difficult bit, but I think I'm excited. I mean, generally, I feel like it's about time we do a show that's focused on the game Football Manager, but in a slightly different way. I want to talk about what the game means to me, how the game has changed over time, and then, what can we look forward to?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that you're right. Like to get under the hood of the bits that we like and the bits that we really, really want improved is good because as you say, like, there's multiple, shows and podcasts and YouTubes and streams that are talking about the game Football Manager. But yeah, maybe not to go under the hood and get into the actual mechanics of the game. Then yeah, I think this is I think we're already cornering that market off right now, so that's quite nice.
When was the first time you picked up the game Football Manager to give it a go?
I'm like yourself, man. I'm an OG, so I was like in. So I had like computers when I was a kid. So when the first one came out, I'd have been like about 11 or 12. So I was already playing games on like a Commodore 64 or a Spectrum or a BBC Acorn or something. And there was like sort of games like Premier Manager or Tracksuit Manager. And then it was my babysitter actually, who was a mate who lived a few doors down. He would come over and he'd bring his Amiga and he said, "Oh, here's this game, Football Manager, a Championship Manager, of course, it was called at the time." And I was hooked straight in. I was like, "This is brilliant. This is what I need." The second I saw it, I was, nah, I was in deep, and I've been in deep ever since.
For me, it was like the first introduction to floppy disks.
hmm
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I didn't want to go near computers until I saw the game Football Manager, and that's when I got
Mm.
I got really roped in. So over the years, the game has kind of evolved, right? So, do you like the direction the game is going in?
I see. To be honest, from the first inclination of the game, the first incarnation of the game, I saw a video game, which was great, and then I saw a simulation, and now I'm seeing another evolution. And I think we're only at the start of the next phase of the game's development, really. I think we've got to the point now where there feels like there's a lot going on. And even me now is like, I'm a little bit younger than yourself, Daljit, but I'm still in my 40s. And even I'm sort of going like, oh, there's a lot. Oh, there's a lot to take in now. Part of me wants to go back to the old days of just turn up and click. But I think the evolution's working really nicely. I think that they're at a point now where it's going in the direction that SI want the game to go in as well. And I think it's maybe took a couple of years where they were making it and they had to shift a couple of pieces and it wasn't quite the game they were hoping it would be to get to this point, if that makes sense. Like the tactical side of stuff, I'm getting more and more into as I get older. Like when I got into the game in the first instance, like my view of football, even as a young lad, was slightly different to how football was played in the northeast of England in the early '90s. Like it was it was brutal. It was just kickball essentially back then. But even I was thinking there must be more to football than this. Like it's not just 4-4-2 kick someone really hard. There's got to be another way. So looking at the tactical element of this game was fantastic for me. Like what I'm desperate for, and I know that a lot of the community is desperate for, is a set piece creator. The second we get the set piece creator, we are away, and we've got a whole new game to play with right there.
I hate the set piece creator right now. I detest it. I mean, I
Mhm.
mean, like, I don't have a clear answer for anybody who comes to me and asks me this question. Do set pieces incorporate the offside trap? And all I can answer is I'm not sure. I think they do. Whenever I change my tactics, I've got to go in and redo my set pieces all over again. Why can't the game just, the 11 players aren't different. They're the same 11 players. I'm just playing a different tactic. So why can't they just go back to the positions I want them to be in? And then it's especially annoying when you're playing draft mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Like those little tinkers in draft mode need to be done, and it just slows everything down. Like it's frustrating. It's so frustrating because you make one tweak, as you say, to your tactic. You then got to do everything else as well. And it's like, I agree. It is that frustration level of saying to your players, going, right, we're going to change shape, but forget everything else that we've agreed so far. And they go, okay, cool. Like, it just makes no sense. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't like erase someone's memory straight away. I would love, especially with the way the match engine is now, I would love to see runners at a corner. Do you know what I mean? Like, have them run across, pull the defenders away while someone else ghosts behind. That would be beautiful to see. But we can make that happen, surely. Why are they not in the game? You look at things like Madden, the NFL game, American football. All their plays are coded up, play by play, are coded into the game, and they have a playbook. We could do something quite similar with the game Football Manager, and we could then edit from those playbooks, and that just allows something a little bit different, because there's moments in a set piece where there's certain elements of the game where you look at and you can call what's happening, because we play it so much now. We can see the scenario. We go, right, this is going to be a goal, or okay, right, this is what's going to happen now. You can almost predict what's coming on, because the set pieces aren't individually defined and designed. There is an air of predictability about some of it.
Oh yeah.
And that's really frustrating, because you know it doesn't matter what you do, that you're going to get scored on. Like for example, everyone knows there's always a free kick just in front of the box that gets pinged straight in the top corner. And I conceded 3 of those in one match. And I remember sending you a message going, why can't we have a man on the post for free kicks? Why can't I put a man on the post? Because I know that he's going to put it in the top corner. The game doesn't allow you to put a defender there.
Or,
Stupid.
Or like those indirect wide free kicks.
Mm-hmm.
They always end up in the back of your net, because you can't mark the far post. Yep. I'm just hoping that we get a new set piece created in FM23, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when they've spent so much time and effort on things like tactics to get the tactics working well, and an actual tactic creator now working pretty well. It seems like it's hand in hand. And especially, you know, and they spent the time with the match engine to make the match engine look lovely. It just seems like it's the final little piece of the puzzle. And then, of course, once that's in there, we'll find something else that's wrong. But, you know, but at the minute, it seems to be like, get the tactics working, get the match engine working. Oh, please give us set pieces.
I currently, right, on my screen right now, is my Palermo team playing a preseason friendly with Valencia. Now, we've just gotten ourselves promoted to the Serie A. My question to you is this. If I'm not mistaken, you have a team in Italy as well. So what are your experiences of managing a team in Serie A, or rather in Italy? Like,
I love Italian football. I always have. Again, we hark back to the 90s. I was young, I was impressionable. Gazzetta Football Italia was on the screens in the UK. It was a synonymous TV show every Sunday morning. You were watching the lead up to the Italian football that week. It was on Channel 4. Italy at the time was the best league in the world with the best players. It was so good. It was so good. So I instantly fell in love with Italian football. Managing Italian football on Championship Manager Italia, I loved. On Football Manager, Italy hates me. Italy hates me. And I don't know what I've done for Italy to hate me, but I try. I try so hard. FM21, I had a save with Roma as part of our Discord challenge. They sacked me. As the beta save, I picked Sampdoria, and I was bottom of the league all season. The board refused to sack me until the last match of the season, then went, it's time for you to go. And I was like, we could have done this months ago. So that didn't work. And then when we spoke about doing this Italian journey together, I was like, right, we're going in, okay? I'm doing it. We're gonna go at the bottom, because you're saying you're doing Palermo from Serie A. So I was like, right, I'm gonna go as well. And I picked Virtuous Verona, who are the uber left wing side. They were predicted to finish bottom. So I was like, right, that's my expectations set low. So the chance of getting sacked is now probably minimal. And I thought that's the only way I can do it, rather than having a team whose expectation is do okay. And we somehow absolutely smashed Serie A. We won the league, so I was well happy with that, by just playing three forwards players essentially. But we're into Serie B now, and I'm now thinking I'm going to have to go back defensive, and I'm already starting to panic.
For me, Serie A is going to be fun, but we should have a game together, man. You're still in Serie A B, right?
Yeah, we absolutely need to do this. So I'm currently in Serie B, and what I enjoy about about Serie A is, and Italy in general, I suppose, is the loan system that they just, because they know you can't really sell players, they just sort of go, well, just loan them. Just how many players are we restricted to loaning? Oh, just as many as you want. Just have an entire team of loans. Nobody cares. Like, and that's brilliant if you don't have the money to buy players. And of course, to attract players is difficult when you're a lower club coming into the division. For example, when I was in Serie C, I picked up a couple of lads from Serie A who were 17, 18, and they were brilliant. But I also paid on a free transfer for Alessio Cerci,
Whoa,
because he
okay.
was free. And I was like, so I need a 36-year-old to balance out these two 18-year-old lads who are in and just trying really hard. So, yeah, financially, I'm not. This is part of the game I always struggle with. And if you're in Italy, I think it's fine to struggle financially, surely. So, yeah, we have to try and balance the books somehow. Yeah.
If you look at it, yeah, a lot of clubs have been struggling financially. So it's nice to see that you have taken the loan system to heart and are using it effectively.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you can't afford to buy, then you've not really got much option. I mean, I'm just looking at my setup now, and I've been promoted to Serie B. My training facilities are classed as basic 1 star. My youth facilities are basic 1 star. My finances are 2 star okay. And actually, on my finance screen right now, we are
Let's
currently,
see your finance screen.
yeah,
Ah,
that's my
okay.
finances right now. Just
Okay.
shy of minus 300 grand, and we've made a profit in the last month somehow. Well, we haven't really. It's still showing as negatives, but look where it was. You
Yeah.
know, it was just shy of 1 million. We've managed to pull back nearly 700 grand, and we are still in the off season. So that's not great. Do you know what I mean? And that's with us winning the league.
You don't.
I know there's not much money in Serie C, but
Your
we've not paid for players.
you know your graph is supposed to be the other way around, right?
Yeah. Like eventually it'll all turn around. But in Italy, this is a perfectly acceptable graph. This is perfectly acceptable in Italy. Like if you can keep below that line, then you're doing all right. I
No.
think the second you start generating money, people start asking questions.
That looks like a shoreline, you know. Like sometimes you see,
Mhm.
you go swimming and you go like deep water, shallow water. Yeah, it looks like a
You see the
shoreline.
really tiny iceberg here,
Yeah,
and then this is the iceberg underneath. This is where we are.
because my financial screen looks like this. I'm showing off now. I've got an overall balance of 4 billion. I just got promoted.
Oof. We
But
can only dream of those sorts of figures. We're still getting pocket money off our parents, really.
okay, so all right. Now, if you had any tips for anybody who's playing in this area, right? The first time they go into this area, what if it what are the tips that you would give anybody for managing a lower league side in Serie A? Give me 3 tips.
Defense. Italy is built on catenaccio football. Get your defenders, get big lads. Is my that's the thing that I do. I get big lads who are mobile. You're probably not going to get. It's going to be one or the other. They're going to be big or mobile. So I'd probably go with big. The idea being that some strikers are going to be a little bit more powerful. Again, you want those set plays set up nicely, so try and sort of like create a goal from that. Because of course, creating goals from open play is going to be difficult because you're usually up against three or five defender systems and your opposition. So again, probably I would say get used to playing 3 at the back or 5 at the back. Yourself, I wouldn't be playing high tempo unless you really think you can play high tempo. There will be matches, of course, where you are going to basically be fitter than the opposition, so you want to jump on those really quickly. But most of the time, I'll be playing for draws. But that's my mentality anyway. I'm quite a cautious manager. I can't really throw caution to the wind. A lot. I mean, the Serie C has been a bit of a surprise where I attacked. I thought if I attack and get out this league quickly, that'll be great. But normally I'm quite pragmatic, and I sort of like to sit back and try and play on the counter. So I'd look for that. Look for defensive stability first. Again, I would look for the loan system because it's there, and why would you not use it? It's if it doesn't work out, the players get sent back. Like just leave them on the bench for a few weeks, and the club will recall them. So it's not an issue. You don't get punished for having all those players in. And then I suppose the other thing I would look at would be, as sort of just touched upon there, set pieces. Because if you're a lower side, that's a really, really great way of getting goals because your creative players are probably not going to be as good as the other creative players in Serie A, I would wager. What about yourself? Is there anything you think I've missed, or do you have a
No,
different philosophy on it?
I it's interesting because your philosophy and my philosophy, there are similarities, but there are also some big differences. Like
Mm.
for me, I agree with you. Tall, strong, meaty men is the way to go. So I
Mhm.
headed to the Scandinavian nations to find myself tall, meaty men who are young. So that's where I found my Tobias Agustin Anderson was a defender. We signed him when he was 17 years old in Serie A C, and he became a mainstay defender for us. And he was like about only 20,000. It was really
Mhm.
cheap, and he became the linchpin. He became the best defender in the league for 2 seasons in a row after that. And we built a system around that. And to echo what you've done as well, the loan system played a big part because you can't really afford to sign players sometimes because you can't afford their wages. And sometimes
Mhm.
some of these top clubs, like you have quite a number of clubs, even Sassuolo, they've got a big squad. You can approach them and they'll loan a couple of their players to you, and they're good enough to start in your league. And we had about something like 7 or 8 loans players in our club at one point. I still have a player from Serie A C, Cesare Casedi. We had him
Nice.
on loan when we were in Serie A C. We still have him on loan when we're in Serie A right
That's
now.
the dream. That's the dream right there. Because the thing with the loan system, you can't afford to make a mistake with the transfer when when you come up from Serie C because you don't have a great deal of money, so you need to make sure the player you bring in is going to work and is going to stay at the club. Like it's so much more. There's so much more pressure on a signing being right. I think when you bring a smaller club up rather than being an established club and you can make a signing if it doesn't work out, I will sell him later on. That's not a problem. So yeah, that's why I was always loans first.
And then tactically as well, we managed to find. I've been playing a certain way for a long time. Whenever I'm an underdog, I like to play a 4-1-3-2. It's been that
Hmm.
way for the longest time. Is it a 4-1-3-2 or a 4-4-2 DM based system with two strikers? The team always have two strikers because one guy on his own is not going to do much. But if you've got two guys attacking the box, at least then there's a chance that you can hit teams on the break. And sometimes that's the only thing that we can do as underdog sides. But my system was like I played a 4-1-3-2 and a 4-3-1-2 combination. So whenever I felt like I wanted to attack teams, I would look for players that were strong. So that's one of the reasons why I like Kasede. When we brought him in, he was like an AM who's had 15 for jumping reach. So I said, wow, this sounds good. We'll just put him in front as a AMC, and then I'll just ask my defenders to kick long. Don't worry about playing the ball nicely. Just put your lasers through the boot and send it as far as you can.
Exactly.
He wins the header. He knocks it out. I got two strikers. We got them on both. I signed two old men who had finishing and composure.
You're saying about bringing players through. Like if we just pull up my screen here. Just wait for you to get that on.
Yeah, here I go.
Like this guy here came through our youth system last season. So he was our first. He played all of Serie C. 20 years old. On the face of it, doesn't look fantastic technically, but his physicals are what made him an absolute monster in the league. 15 goals in 29 games, which totally fine, brilliant. I'll take that. Average of 7.27 overall. He's our mainstay striker. I think he can still cut it in Serie B, despite this star. That's another thing I'd say as well. And I'm sure you've preached on about this for years. Ignore the stars. The stars don't matter, right? Look at how these players play on match day, right? That's what we're talking about. So he's 6 foot up top. He's got a bit of pace about him. He's reasonably good at finishing. He knows where the goal is. But I've partnered him with a 6'5" low knee, and he came in. He's my big target forward. So again, finishing decent, heading decent, not so mobile. But he was on loan first of all. Did all right. In he
This
comes.
This Bianchi Mano is not bad, actually. He's pretty solid.
He's all right, isn't he? He's all
Yeah.
right. And again, I'm not expecting the goals from him. I'm expecting him to be the provider essentially, or knock the ball down or hold the ball up, create a bit of extra space. We had players like, I mean, we brought Churchy in last year. We said we brought Churchy in. I mean, that's big for us. £450 a week. That is huge. He needed to perform, and he did okay. 4 goals in 14, not really good enough, to be honest. So he might be on his way out, to be honest, next year. But this is our guy. This is our guy. This is the man I'm building the club around. Pellicini.
Pellicini. Sorry.
Pellicini. Look at this. The reason, no nonsense centre back, central defender, ball playing defender, libero. Oh, a libero. Got to play a libero at some point in Italy, surely, right? So I saw this guy and I was like, he is our star player. So yeah, he is essentially our Marshall in defence. He does everything, and he does it so well as well. So yeah, 7.25 his rating last year, 2 goals in 33 matches. He's been with us for a few seasons, so yeah, he's my guy. I want him in Serie A as well at some point. He's 24, so we can get there before he's 38, which makes him prime Serie A central defender. I'd love that.
What about your tactic? If you want to explain your tactic, you've got a pressing forward, a complete forward.
So my plan was initially to go defensive, but I spoke to Stinger, and he said, look, just hit it hard in Serie C, hit it hard. So I was like, all right, so this is what I play. This is what I play in Norway on my odds save. So I was like, let's see if this is going to work. So we've got Pellicini here, who's playing as a no-nonsense centre back at this point, but he can switch with Madaloni as the ball player. 2 inverted wing backs who come up into here, which cover, of course, for the Mazzalas moving out into the half spaces. But the pressing forward, who again is now going to be a bit Bianca Mano, is going to be doing that press that maybe we had Churchy doing last year, or in fact, actually I've sold the other striker who was doing it. He was proper 6'4" pressing forward, but he was on far too much for like £1,000 a week, so he's had to go. Piore just hit the ground running as a complete forward. I wasn't entirely sure what to play him as, but I dropped him on there and he just scored from all angles. So I was like, right, you stay there. And then of course the runners from the Mazzalas create an extra bit of space for us. We also have, I was initially set up like this is in a Christmas tree, very, very narrow, granted, but the halfback to a DM was a nice change. Again, Pellicini could jump in there if needs be, if we were a little bit short defensively, or we had he was struggling a bit, but we could put another central defender in. He can then drop and cover to make that into a 5.
I like this.
That was really nice.
I actually like this system.
It's nice, isn't it?
When I play this system, what I like to do, and then this is something that I've done a few times, even in PvP, those wingbacks, I turn them into inverted wingbacks. Because the inverted wingbacks, they go narrow and they will drive up the pitch. I know there's, in the old days, I used to tell people, don't play an inverted wingback if you've got no wingers, kind of shit. Okay, look, in FM22, just pay attention to their play instructions. So they drive narrow. What will happen is they flood the center when you're attacking. So then it'll cause those AMs in the final third to push forward as well. So you can have inverted wingbacks driving down the flanks, putting a lot of central pressure. Then you have a lot of movement in the final third. And then you could actually play a libero in defense and 2 white center backs. It's not bad.
Which is where we get to this one.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's sort of my defensive shape with that. But then it moves into ideally this sort of libero, and then he sort of moves up a smidge. We get a bit more width. So
it's a very nice
That's
system.
my thinking. This is a bit of a work in progress, this one. But I like the idea of it. So as I say, I envisage this is the attacking version of this.
Okay.
Which again comes from this.
That's nice. Okay, I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share right now my tactic, which is slightly different. A pressing forward, advanced forward, almost the same as yours. A shadow striker behind them, Mazzala on the left, and a box-to-box midfielder on the right. And then we have a DLP in the middle, a fullback on attack and a fullback on attack either side. That was my 4-3-1-2. Except I used to play
Nice.
on attacking mentality with a focus to play through the middle. And I used that tactic to smash through Serie A C as well as Serie A B before I got into Serie A. But now in Serie A, I plan to do something a bit more crazy. I'm going to be using my Brazil box tactic, which
Oh yeah.
except this one has got roaming playmakers. I've been experimenting with them. But the original Brazil box that they used was a deep lying playmaker, a segundo volante on support, two fullbacks on attack, AP, shadow striker, F9, and advanced forward. We are bringing some flair to the Serie A.
I like the sound of that. Serie A won't have any clue how to deal with this at all, will they? Right. So I think what we need to work out, Daljit, at this point is regularity. I'm thinking fortnightly. We come back, we do a bit of an update as to where we are with the saves, and I think ultimately the plan is to pit your newly promoted Serie A Palermo side against my newly promoted Serie A Virtus Verona side in a versus mode. How does that sound?
Oh, that sounds absolutely brilliant. It'll give us a reason to play versus mode against each other. It'll give us a chance to at least, progress with the save, share our experiences about the Serie A, share our experiences about Football Manager, and then hopefully people find it interesting enough to join us on the next show.
I think so. I think that's what we need to look out for. So, yeah, I've got 2 weeks. I've got 2 weeks to get out of Serie B. I've just realised I put a lot of pressure on myself. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. We can do this.
So can you get promoted in 2 weeks?
Gonna have to.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me here today, man, Tony. I'm really looking forward to our second episode.
Mate, it's a pleasure, man. Can't wait for it.
So meanwhile, the rest of you out there, please stay safe and healthy. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.